All right, friends, today's project is going to be a little bit of an interesting one. We're going to be installing this freshwater bidet and incredibly cheap on Amazon. Let's show you how to do this right now. This is actually running us just under $20 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box below if you guys want to check that out. But this seems like a great little experiment to install here at the house. You can see it's non-electric, eco-friendly, easy to install. We're going to see just how easy. All right, so here's what is included inside of the box here. Basically, we've got our tubing. We have our connection piece to our water supply, couple of O-rings and a seal, as well as our instruction booklet. So not a lot of pieces to install. That's encouraging. And then we have our main bidet unit. Now on this side, you can obviously see there's a few controls. We've got our water pressure. Looks like a minimum up to, that's a fairly large amount is what it's stating. And I've seen some other videos online. Maybe I'll put a link in the description box below. It's pretty hilarious, people using these. It does come out in a decent stream, it sounds like. We also have a little knob here that adjusts your actual bidet. You can see I'm moving that back and forth, and as a result, you get a little bit of movement back and forth on the actual spray nozzle. All right, that is about it. Let's go ahead and see how hard this is to actually get on. Okay, we are at the toilet where this is going to be installed. You can see that we actually have a flexible hose. So if you have a straight hose, maybe a copper pipe, there's going to be a little bit different installation. Again, in the instruction booklet, it'll tell you how to do that. Luckily, we have a flexible pipe, so it's going to be a bit easier. You can see that's where it connects into the toilet tub. And obviously the water via pressure will fill this thing up every time it's drained. So the first thing to do is turn off the water connection. And I'm just gonna turn this to the right here, and basically all I'm doing is closing that valve. And you'll feel it tighten over here, tight righty-tighty, and that is now closed, meaning water will no longer be able to come up into this flexible hose and into the tank here. So now that I have that turned off, I'm actually gonna hold and flush this. And all we're doing is we're getting all of the water out of this tank. And that's going to allow us to remove this and install that little coupler that allows the hose to get up into the bidet. Okay, so our next step is going to be installing this little adapter. Now let me show you exactly what we're going to be doing. See this little coupler right here? We're actually going to be unscrewing this, meaning it's going to open up and allow that residual water to come out. So what I am going to do is I'm going to put this towel down underneath here to absorb any of that residual water that's probably going to dump out a little bit. And once we have that unscrewed, then we can actually stick this adapter up into place. So first things first, let's unscrew this, get that residual water out of there. Now, unless you actually have used some sort of a wrench or something like that to crank this down, it actually should just be finger tight. So what I'm going to do is just loosen that all the way. And let's get it off of this little black coupler here. Okay, I'm gonna loosen that. There's a little bit of residual water in there, but it really was not bad at all. So let me go ahead and let me get this towel kind of underneath here again, just to catch anything that might come out. Okay, now for this next step, we are going to be putting this little washer that comes with it. This is, again, just going to help seal that water in place. I'm just going to stick that down into our little adapter here. Okay, for our next step, we're going to be connecting the hose to that adapter. Now, this is a little lock nut, and basically these tabs need to kind of go away from the adapter. Okay, this is how your nut should look attached to the hose. Okay, our next step is to feed the hose onto our adapter. This took a little bit of finagling, and actually just really need to kind of compress and twist that hose directly onto the adapter. But now this nut is ready to go over, twist onto those threads and lock into place. Okay, you can see it's compressed on there now. And again, that actually took quite a bit of just pressure and strength to kind of make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, with our adapter and hose now in place, it's ready to install now onto our water supply. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the top part first, just so I have a little extra leverage, and basically just get these threads on hand tight, and then I'll put that bottom one on next. Okay, you can see our adapter is now in place with the hose coming out. So now what I'm going to do is bring this coupler and I'm going to screw it in with two hands down here on the bottom. When you get down to the base here, basically you're just going to make this hand tight. It really doesn't need to be moved on with any kind of wrench or anything like that. Just make sure it's nice and hand tight. Okay, so it's time to remove these top two screws. Again, I'm going to use my Phillips head screwdriver. Once you have these top screws loosened, you can actually come down to the bottom and you can go ahead and manipulate this wing nut here. And this is what connects these two screws. So basically we're going to hold one end and we're going to loosen this bottom end. There's what the assembly looks like when it's taken out of the toilet. So again, I'm going to grab the one on the other side as well. Okay, now that we have our hardware out, I'm actually just going to come and grab this entire toilet seat and remove it there. At this point, I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning just to get things nice and shiny again. Okay, at this point, we are going to be connecting the other end of the hose, which is down here, to this end of the bidet. Again, I just flipped over this side. You can see our other nut is right here, so I'm just going to unscrew this. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to grab that end of the hose. We're going to force it down on top of here. Remember to put this nut onto the hose, and then we're going to feed both of those things down on there and lock it into place. So let me go ahead and put the hose in through the nut and onto this little guy right here. Okay, there is our nut nice and tight in place. So what I'm going to do is kind of put this in place, and then basically we're going to use these sliders to come over here and make sure everything is nice and lined up with those holes underneath. We're going to put the toilet seat on top of this and then get some hardware into place. I'm actually going to install one of the hardware pieces first, just so this holds down and I can film with two hands. Okay, so what I've done is I've gotten one of our nuts in place, and that allows me to kind of move this around and make sure I have the hole lined up on the other one. Once I get that nice and lined up, then I'm going to stick my bolts down into that one as well, and we should be able to tighten things up. Okay, with both bolts in place, what I'm going to do is just kind of manipulate this around again so that it is lined up with our toilet seat and that everything is on straight. You can see it's nice and loose still. So again, what you do is just make sure everything's nice and lined up, and then once you have it where you want it, go ahead and check to make sure that nozzle is going to be able to be free and lift up. Looks good on our end. And now I'm going to tighten these up completely. Okay, once everything is in place, it's time to turn that water spout back on. So I'm going to, again, reach down here. I'm going to go to the left. You can hear that tank is now going to be filling up. I'm just going to keep it nice and loose there. And then we'll look and see the water coming in. Again, we're going to make sure we don't have any leaks down here. Really kind of check your connections, make sure you're not getting any drips or anything like that. And once that tank fills back up, it's time to test. All right, friends, I hope this has helped. I'm not going to do the testing phase for you. Obviously, we'll save you from that. But check out some of the links in the description box below if you want to see some funny stuff. It really is funny watching people use these things for the first time. Hey, if this has helped, did you guys hit that thumbs up button and subscribe? We got a lot more DIY home tutorial videos coming up real soon. Thanks for watching.